Episode 141. He must be angry. Jade looked away and reached out her hand to take off Dario's shirt. When her finger accidentally touched his chest, she could clearly feel the motion of his breathing and heat of his skin. Dario looked at her indifferently, staring at the pajamas she was wearing. He suddenly felt a little thirsty. Although her pajamas were not too revealing, they were enough to show her good figure. When Jade finally took off Dario's pants, she thought she was free, but Dario did not plan to let her go. He pressed her hand on the edge of his underwear. A low, cruel voice sounded in her ear. There's still one more piece of clothing. Even though it was separated from her by his underwear, she could feel what was inside. Under her palm, it grew bigger and hotter, inch by inch. Jade wanted to withdraw her hand, but Dario refused to let go. She did not dare to look him in the eyes. Her heart beat fast. If you do not help me take off the last piece of clothing, I will not answer your question. Dario leaned close to her ear and said seriously. His eyes became more intense as she touched him. No. Jade retracted her hand and immediately hid in the bed shyly. She exhaled and said, Forget it, Mr. Foster, I don't want to ask. Even though she wanted to know the answer, she really could not do what he wanted. Then you should never ask, he said in a cold voice. Jade squeezed her hand into a fist. She did not want to care, but the more she thought about it, the angrier she became. For a moment, she didn't know where her courage came from. She suddenly lifted the blanket and stared at him, seeing red. Mr. Foster, why are you always like this? You don't care about how I feel. I've been in the crew for half a month, yet you don't text me or call me. Every time I contact you first. Why are you always like this? You treat me so well all of a sudden, and then you deliberately treat me so coldly. Jade's breath was quick, and her heart was beating constantly after she finished speaking, but she had to finally ask because she could just not take it anymore. Why did he suddenly do something that moved her every time she decided to ignore him? If he were going to keep doing that, then he might as well be cold to her from the start. His behavior made her heart very confused. She felt like she would go crazy if this continued. Dario did not answer her question. Instead, he asked in a very calm tone, I am very good to you, aren't I? Although Dario had guessed that Jade would be angry, he did not expect her to be so emotional. When she heard him say this, she immediately choked on her breath and became unable to speak at all. She was shocked he'd even asked such a question and looked at him severely. What did he mean by this? Did he mean that he did not want to be nice to her at all? Did he treat everyone like this? Was he just doing his duty as a husband? Even if it wasn't for her, he would still be like this. Was that so? For a moment, Jade's heart became even more frustrated and disappointed. She looked at him angrily and finally could not help but punch him hard. She started to ramble. Why don't you be nicer to me? If you don't like me and want to be with another woman, I definitely won't stop you. Jade said all the things she held in her heart and the questions she had before. Other women? Dario narrowed his eyes and asked. There was a trace of doubt in his eyes, but he finally realized why Jade was acting so strangely all of a sudden. It seemed that she was jealous. Mr. Foster, you don't need to explain. I saw everything. Jade covered her ears as she spoke. She did not plan to give him any chance to explain. But Dario did not seem to intend to even try. He simply answered, I do not want to explain. Also, what is it that you saw? Jade was stunned. It was as if something was stuck in her throat. It made her feel extremely uncomfortable. Why did he not even try to explain? Was it because there was no need? Nothing. I'm going to sleep. Jade looked at him angrily, especially when she saw the indifference on his face. She was just too sad. You are the only woman I have. Dario pulled her body closer to him. Jade was shocked by his sudden words. Was he expressing his love to her? Still, Jade had concerns, and she could not help but ask, Then why didn't you make love to me yesterday? After all, last time, she was wearing such sexy pajamas. When Jade said these words, she immediately regretted it. She hurriedly covered her mouth. Damn it! Why did she mention this matter for no reason? Wouldn't this show that she was too lustful? No, this was too embarrassing. She was clearly only thinking about it silently. How could she say it out loud? Impulsiveness was indeed a devil. And this person in front of her was even more devilish than the devil himself. Dario raised his eyebrows and narrowed his eyes. He could not help but reach out his hand to touch her blushing face. "Do you look forward to having sex with me?" "I did not say that." Jade shrank away from him and avoided his hand. She felt almost as if she would be electrocuted if he touched her. This was bad. Everything seemed to be so off. Wasn't she just questioning everything? Why did it seem like their roles had now changed? "Do you really not want to?" Dario reached out his hand and gently held her delicate chin. He turned her face back to look at the passion in his eyes. Jade lowered her head. Her long eyelashes trembled slightly as if she were afraid of something. "I don't want to," Jade replied decisively. "Why don't you tell me what you really think?" Dario's eyes suddenly darkened with a sense of loss and coldness. "This is what I really think." Jade bit her lower lip and answered shakily. She clearly knew that her own true thoughts were otherwise, but she could not say them out loud. "Do you have any other questions?" Dario asked coldly. Jade grabbed the sheet nervously and took a deep breath. In the end, she shook her head. "Then let's sleep." Dario turned off the light and laid down. The room turned dark. Jade sat beside him, feeling uncomfortable. She could not see his expression clearly and did not know if he was angry or not. But looking at him just before, she felt sure he must be angry. Episode 142. Did he love her? Why was he angry? Jade thought to herself. She was the one who should be angry. In the end, Dario did not answer Jade's question. Jade felt that she had lost control of her heart. She was very uncomfortable. She had really wanted to know the answer, but now she did not know anything. She couldn't tell how long she sat there for. Dario did not speak to her, nor did he pull her to lie down. He just let her do as she pleased. Eventually, she became tired from sitting. She slowly leaned back and laid down. Dario did not forcefully pull her to his chest as usual. She reached out and touched the cold bedsheet. Feeling a sense of loss, her tears fell uncontrollably. Beside her, she could hear the sound of measured breathing. She thought he must have fallen asleep. She narrowed her eyes and fell asleep in a daze. In her dream, it was as if someone picked up her body and let her lean against something warm. The smell was very familiar to her, and it made her feel at ease. She did not know that the person holding her in the darkness was helpless. His tone was very sad. "Why didn't you tell me your answer?" he asked. "You can be a little bit more willful. You don't have to worry about getting angry. If you do, I will feel how important I am in your heart." When Jade woke up the next day, she felt dizzy. She hadn't slept well, perhaps because she had something on her mind last night. As expected, the person who lay beside her was no longer around. She touched the empty sheet beside her. She didn't know why she felt sad. She stayed in bed for a while before getting up, feeling hungry. After searching for a while, she found that Dario wasn't home. Could it be that he went out to work? Jade walked to the kitchen to see if there was anything to eat. Only then did she realize that there was already oatmeal waiting in a slow cooker. Even better, it was her favorite kind. And the clothes she changed out of yesterday were already hanging on the balcony. Could it be that Dario woke up early to cook and wash her clothes? No, that was too hard to believe. Jade paced around the house in boredom before finally returning to the bedroom. She picked up the phone and stared at it for a long time, but she still did not call him. Then, suddenly remembering, she immediately dialed a number. She had actually forgotten about Faye. Faye took a long time to pick up the phone. When she did, Jade heard her haggard voice. "Damn it, Jade. Where have you been for the last 2 weeks? Didn't you say you wanted to find a house for me?" Jade said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Faye. I had to suddenly go out of town to film recently. I haven't been to Washington. Where do you live now? Have you found a house?" "You don't have to worry about it. The company has arranged everything for me." "In that case, the company is very good to you." Faye heard Jade's excitement and said angrily, "No, the company is not good to me at all. I don't know why the management suddenly gave me so many tasks. Now, not only do I have to write that serial book, I'm also in charge of a bunch of columns. Damn it. I'm so busy that I can't even go out. I don't know how I offended them. They actually said that if I protested, they would take the house back and even deduct my manuscript fees. They are clearly threatening me, and they still don't let me take leave." "Oh my God. Faye, why don't you go work at another company?" Jade immediately expressed her sympathy. Although filming every day was very tiring, her conditions were still very good. The director would even take the initiative to give her a vacation. Of course I want to go work at another company, but I signed a 5-year contract. Only a year has passed. I still have to work here for another 4 years. If I break the contract, I'll have to pay, Faye said while crying. She really regretted signing the contract. At that time, she was still very young. She didn't know anything. She signed the contract impulsively. They actually lied to her. Who would have thought? I didn't think that writers signed contracts as well. This seemed very familiar to the entertainment industry to Jade. If someone broke their contract, they would have to pay the price. Faye wiped her tears and tried to control her emotions. After she calmed down, she immediately changed the topic. Forget it, Jade. Let's not talk about unhappy things anymore. Tell me about your husband. Is he good to you? You got married so suddenly. Jade could not help but be shocked by Faye's rapid change. Faye had been immersed in sorrow. The next second, she was in gossiping mode. It was just that Jade did not know how to answer Faye's question. If she had asked in the beginning, she would definitely have said that Mr. Foster was very good to her, really good to her. But he had been so cold toward her recently, like he was deliberately avoiding her. Would it really be like what Sheila said, just because she didn't agree to have sex with him? So was that what it was? He was unhappy? Jade immediately fell into silence. Faye noticed that she did not respond and immediately felt something was not right. She carefully asked, Jade? Your husband? He is very good to me, Jade slowly replied. Other than the fact that he had distanced himself from her recently, he was really good to her. Other than her grandmother, he treated her better than anyone in the world. Jade, you two didn't even know each other very long before getting married, right? You're still so young. You haven't even graduated from university. Your suddenly getting married gave me a fright. It was true. They had gotten married as soon as they got to know each other. Jade had never thought that she would be so bold as to marry a man she had only known for a few days. She had never thought that such an outstanding man would marry someone like her. All of this happened too suddenly. Without waiting for Jade to reply, Faye said with her voice full of envy, Jade, I think your husband must be very good to you. He must love you very much. Otherwise, why would you marry him? Jade did not know what to say. Jade thought about it carefully. Did he love her? Without a doubt, he was very good to her. But, she thought, it seemed she had never heard Dario say the word love to her. He also did not say that he liked her. So she felt that there was no love between them. She felt that they were just a couple on the surface, and what's more, she herself had said that there was no need for love. But now, she actually began to want his love. I don't know what to say. Anyway, our story is very hard to believe. I think that even if I told you, you wouldn't believe me. Jade kept recalling the scene of their first meeting. She still felt very awkward about it, how she had kept pestering him and wanted to kiss him. Episode 143. Enjoy tonight. Jade had never expected that losing a game would cause her to meet someone who would change her fate. Dario was indeed very good to her. Still, she even felt that if he weren't married to her, he would still be very good to his wife because he was a responsible person. Don't be like this. Jade, tell me. This will give me some inspiration. I will write a book for both of you in the future. Your story can't be the story of that overbearing CEO falling in love with me, can it? Faye seemed especially excited. Faye, you have a lot of imagination, Jade said, smiling helplessly. She could not help but connect the words overbearing CEO to Dario. He was indeed very overbearing and very shameless. The two of them chatted for half an hour. When Faye finally said that she was going to go write, they hung up the phone. Jade calmed down and began to read the script. At noon, Jade noticed that the room was still terrifyingly quiet. She walked back and forth and waited for a while, but Dario still did not appear. Jade looked at the time and saw that it was already past lunchtime. She sighed. She had thought that he would have come back for lunch. Perhaps he did not want to see her and was deliberately staying away. Jade frowned and went to open the refrigerator to see if there was anything to eat. She saw a bowl of sealed pasta in the middle of the refrigerator. It was cooked. She took a look and found that it was actually very fresh. She should be able to eat it after she heated it up. She was a little puzzled. Could it be that Dario had prepared this for her? She took out the plate and found a piece of paper. Written on it were the words, You are now allowed to go out and visit your grandmother, but you have to come back before 7 in the evening. You are not allowed to eat dinner out." Jade looked at the familiar handwriting and the tone, feeling both annoyed and amused at the same time. What was this? He wanted to chase her out. He even set a curfew like she was in elementary school. He was treating her like a baby. He still wanted to force her to come back and sleep there? Who cares about what you want? Jade stuck her tongue out at the piece of paper and then carefully placed it in her wallet before starting to eat. Just as she finished her meal, Lucas appeared at the door of the house. He said that he had come specifically to bring her to the hospital. Initially, she didn't want to go, but when she saw that there was a ride, she decided not to just sit there for no reason and followed him. Before getting out of the car, Lucas, who always had a poker face, actually smiled. He said to her, "Remember to come out on time, 7 o'clock. I'll come to pick you up." No need. I can get back by myself." Before Jade could finish, Lucas's expression changed. "No, this is Mr. Foster's order." After saying that, he immediately left. Jade stayed where she stood when he drove away, feeling a little depressed. She kept feeling like the way Lucas was looking at her just now had been a little strange, as if something were going to happen. Could it be that she was overthinking it? When it was 7 o'clock, Jade walked out of the hospital hesitatingly. But by the time she arrived at the door, she was pacing back and forth. She wondered why he asked her to come out then. Why did she have to be so obedient? But Lucas didn't give her a chance to wrestle with her decision. He had already rushed over to welcome her. She had never seen such a dedicated driver. When they arrived at the neighborhood, Lucas actually turned back and said something to her seriously. "Enjoy tonight." Jade's face was full of confusion. What was going on? What should she enjoy? She thought Dario told her not to eat out because he had prepared dinner. She thought that when she opened the door, she would at most see Dario cooking there as usual. However, when she entered the passcode and opened the door, she was stunned. Oh my God, was this really her home? Did she go to the wrong door? She couldn't help but step back and look at the number. It was right. This was her house. At that moment, there were no lights on the hall. Instead, there was a small yellow glow. It was very lively and seemed especially warm. The ground was covered with rose petals, and the air was filled with a pleasant fragrance. When she walked in further, Jade found that there were heart-shaped candles in the hall leading from the doorway. They formed a path and guided her. There was a hint of surprise in her eyes. She really liked this scene. She never dreamed that she would walk into such a romantic setting. As soon as she entered the room, a beautiful piano piece began to play. The sound was neither soft nor loud. It was just perfect. The kind that made people feel good when they heard it. The figure standing at the end of the path was Dario. He was dressed in a hand-cut suit, and his hair was neat and tidy. He stood there straight and tall, welcoming her. Under the gentle light, his body seemed even more attractive, and his face was so handsome, no matter how he looked at it. God, Jade almost fainted from seeing it. "Mr. Foster, these candles and roses." Jade stood at the door and did not dare move. She was afraid that if she took a step forward, this beautiful fantasy would be shattered. She wanted to keep this scene in her mind forever. "Do you like it?" Dario said as he came over to where she was. He held her hand and walked forward step by step. The lovely candlelight flickered slightly. It was like a dream. Dario pulled Jade forward, and she followed him as if she had lost her soul. They walked all the way to the table. The dining table was also dressed up. It was covered with a layer of nice tablecloths, with more beautiful candles on top. There were exquisite steaks and a fruit salad set on the table. "Mr. Foster, why are you making this so grand?" Jade looked at him in confusion. What exactly was going on? "Let's sit down and eat." Dario pulled her chair out and guided her to sit down. Until now, Jade was still in a daze. When she came to, Dario was already sitting opposite her. He gave her a faint smile. Under the warm candlelight, his eyes seemed exceptionally gentle. Jade looked at him in awe. Finally, she could not help but ask, "Mr. Foster, what kind of good day is it today? Could it be your birthday?" When she said this, she was a little flustered. She realized she didn't know when his birthday was. If that were really the case, wouldn't she be embarrassed? Not only did she not remember the date, she didn't even prepare a gift. No. Luckily, Dario said it wasn't. If today was not his birthday, what day could it be? Jade really couldn't think of another day between them that was worth making such a big fuss about. Dario picked up the red wine on the table and poured it into 2 beautiful goblets. The sweet fragrance of the wine immediately came over her. "You'll know in a while. Let's eat first." Dario deliberately kept her in suspense, which made Jade's heart itch. Still, she was too embarrassed to ask. If she missed some important day, she either didn't know or forgot. Episode 144, Romantic Candlelit Dinner. Dario looked at Jade's curious yet shy cute face and wanted to immediately hold her in his arms. "You'll know what day it is later," Dario said very mysteriously, as if he did not intend to tell her the truth at all. After a while, Jade pouted and finally couldn't help but ask. She felt like otherwise she wouldn't even be able to eat. "Mr. Foster, can't you just tell me?" Dario looked at her tender lips and said lightly, "We've been married for a month. Today is our full month anniversary." "What?" Jade was very surprised when she first heard this answer. Later, she calculated the date carefully. They had indeed been married for a month, but she had never heard of a full month anniversary. What's more, she didn't expect Dario to remember the date more clearly than she did. She was touched. So he cared about the day. Did that imply that he cared about her, too? "Hurry up and eat. Do you want me to feed you?" "No need, Mr. Foster. I can eat it myself." Jade quickly regained her senses and started to use her fork and knife, but she rarely ate steak, so she did not cut it well. Dario carefully cut the steak for her. Besides the steak was a heart-shaped dab of cream sauce. Jade looked at the food on the plate and felt a surge of warmth in her heart. She was still angry with him earlier today, but now she was a little moved. No one had ever spent so much time and effort on her. Jade was immersed in the romantic atmosphere. It was exceptionally dreamlike, as if she were eating with him in a high-class restaurant. This was the first time she was dining with him in such a romantic and warm situation. Perhaps Jade was too happy, she realized. She never liked drinking, but she'd actually taken the initiative to extend her hand to the red wine Dario poured for her. She gently held the glass and smiled at him. There was a rare joy in her eyes. "Thank you for the dinner you prepared for me." Jade had a sweet smile on her face. Dario also picked up his glass and gently touched it to hers. "Cheers!" Jade shouted happily. Dario did not say anything. He took a sip elegantly. Jade watched him swallow and looked at his half-closed dark eyes, his handsome face. Everything about him was so gorgeous that she could not get tired of looking at him, no matter how she looked at him. Even if she did not drink, she felt a little drunk just looking at Dario. Jade carefully held the wine glass. The sweet red wine carried a spiciness as it slid down her throat. The dinner was the longest they had eaten since they'd known each other. They only finished after 8 o'clock. During this time, Jade had taken the initiative to drink with Dario several times in order to thank him. Although the amount of red wine was not very high, it only took Jade a few cups for her face to turn red. Her small, delicate face appeared even more charming. "Are you satisfied with tonight's dinner?" Dario walked to her side and picked up the napkin on the table. He gently wiped the residue from the corner of her mouth. Then he bent over, directly stuck out his tongue, and licked the corner of her lips. Jade was shocked. She sat there blankly and looked at him without moving. She seemed to be at a loss. Before Jade could speak, Dario took her hand and leaned close to her ear. He said to her in his extremely charming voice, "I heard that exercise after meals helps digestion." Jade felt a little shy when she heard the word exercise. She thought to herself that Dario was always teasing her, so she should know that he really just meant exercise. Before Jade could react, Dario actually bent down and extended his hand in front of her in a very gentlemanly manner. "Miss Winslet, I don't know if I've had the honor of inviting you to dance." Dario's face carried a faint smile, and his eyes were full of sincerity. This made Jade a little embarrassed. She shyly withdrew her hands and said awkwardly, "Actually, Mr. Foster, I don't know how to—" Just when she started to say that she did not know how to dance, Dario directly grabbed her hand and pulled her into standing. At the same time, he placed his left hand on her waist and spun her around with his right. At this moment, the music turned into a classic waltz, Blue Danube River. Dario took the opportunity to waltz with her. "I'll teach you." He increased the force on her waist and began to dance with her. Because she did not know how to dance, Jade's body was very stiff at first. But under Dario's lead, she slowly started to dance alongside his footsteps. Dario's black suit and tall figure made him look elegant and noble. Although Jade did not choose her clothes today for any particular reason, she happened to be wearing a red dress. The dress was tight, and the hem was exceptionally graceful. It made her perfect curves look wonderful. They danced along with the rhythm of the music and the candlelight. Dario's powerful face held a smile that could not be seen clearly, leaving her to her endless imagination. When Jade got used to the waltz, Dario began to increase his speed. Soon, with a slight turn, Jade fell naturally into Dario's arms. She was shocked. Her heart could not help beating a little. Dario raised his hand again, and Jade spun around twice before being pulled back into his arms. She raised her left foot high, and one of her hands was pulled by him. The two of them looked at each other with deep affection. For a beginner, this kind of speed was a bit intense. Jade was panting. Along with having just had wine, she was now almost out of strength. She could only lean on Dario's strong arm with soft steps. When the music ended, Dario lowered his eyes and looked at her delicate and slightly parted red lips. He could not help but kiss her. "Mr. Foster." Jade felt that she could not stand steadily and could not help but call his name. Dario held her hand and placed it on his neck. He approached her lips and said gently, "Don't be afraid. Hold me." Episode 145. The Most Delicious Thing. Jade could only hold on to Dario to support her body. Dario lowered his head and kissed her lips. She could clearly feel his tongue moving in her mouth. Because both of them had drank red wine, there was a strong smell of it in their mouths. But even if the two of them did not drink, they still would have been fascinated while kissing. Jade felt a numbing sensation coming from her mouth. She kept dodging, but Dario could easily find her tongue. He gently sucked on it. He kept teasing her, making her body even softer. She could not even stand steadily. Dario reached out and held her behind. He could not wait to pick her up. He kissed her and carried her to the bedroom. Jade's eyes were very charming. She stared at him closely. At this moment, her appearance was very tempting. He could not help but want to make love to her. By the time Jade could react, he had already pushed her down onto the soft bed. Just when Dario wanted to kiss her again, Jade suddenly stretched out her somewhat powerless hand. She wanted to stop him, but she gasped and asked, "Mr. Foster, what do you want?" She was breathing heavily, her chest heaving up and down. At this moment, she was very seductive. "To eat you." A low voice sounded in her ear. Jade could not help trembling when she heard this. She lowered her head shyly and pretended not to understand. "Mr. Foster, I am not food. Why do you want to eat me?" "You are the most delicious thing in the world." Dario kissed her again. He kept sucking on her tender lips as if he was tasting the delicacies of the world. His eyes became more and more intoxicated. The light in the bedroom was not turned on. Only the faint moonlight shone in. She could clearly see his silhouette. She tried to push his sturdy chest away, but the more she resisted, the harder his kiss became. His movements became more and more violent, as if he wanted to put her whole body into his body. The distance between them was getting closer and closer. Despite wearing all their clothing, she could feel his hot chest underneath his shirt. She didn't know when Dario had taken off his suit jacket. He had already unbuttoned his shirt, revealing his strong chest and hard muscles. Under the night sky, the atmosphere between them became more and more passionate. "Mr. Foster, don't be like this." Jade, who was fascinated by the kiss, immediately reached out and pinched her thigh. She hoped that the pain could keep her calm. She did not want to experience the feeling from the night before. His kiss always fascinated her, and then he would suddenly ignore her. Although he was very handsome, he could not keep casually teasing her like this. He could be enthusiastic at one moment and at the next one, very cold. It was truly unbearable for her. Jade kept reminding herself that she could not do this anymore. She needed to remain very reserved. She could no longer fall in love with his kiss. She was sure that even with 1,000 years of practice, she could not defeat the man in front of her. Jade forcefully turned her head to the side, not letting his kiss touch her slightly swollen lips. She pushed him away and escaped to the edge of the bed, deliberately keeping a distance from him. Her chest kept rising and falling, and her head felt a little dizzy, but she wanted to keep herself awake. She had to make the right choice when she was awake. After Dario was rejected by her, he did not do anything else. Her actions had also gone outside of his expectations. This was not the first time she had pushed him away, but the atmosphere between them had never been so awkward. The originally warm and romantic mood had suddenly dropped to a freezing point. In an instant, only the sound of two people's breathing was left in the darkness. This was a terrifying silence. The moonlight shone on Jade's beautiful face. She sat on the edge of the bed, breathing heavily. After a long time, she slowly opened her mouth to speak. "Mr. Foster, I beg you, don't do this to me, okay? I really—" Jade almost trembled. She did not know how much of her courage it took to say these words. "It is very uncomfortable." Dario said what she wanted to say next. Jade was stunned and did not reply. She just tightly bit her lower lip. She always felt that in front of him, she would never have secrets. She was indeed very uncomfortable. This kind of thing should make anyone feel uncomfortable. Dario slowly moved over from behind her. He held her body and let her rest in his arms. "Tell me why you feel uncomfortable." Dario's magnetic voice was beautiful. It kept attracting her, making her want to tell the truth. Jade pulled his hand away from her waist. She gritted her teeth and said stubbornly, "I don't feel uncomfortable at all." "Then why are you angry?" "I'm not angry at all." "Weren't you angry at me yesterday?" "Well, you treated me like that the day before yesterday. Why can't I be angry?" They looked at each other and fell into silence. "Why didn't you tell me your true feelings?" Dario asked in a deep voice. He was confused. He forced her to look at him. She wanted to lower her head, but Dario did not give her this chance. He held her chin tightly and made her look up at him. "I'm telling you the truth. I don't know what else you want to know," Jade said calmly. "I just want to know what you think." "This is what I really think, Mr. Foster. I know you're good to me, but you keep teasing me. This makes me very sad." The more Jade spoke, the more she choked. She looked very sad. Just as she wanted to say something else, he kissed her hard. It was different from the gentle kiss just before. He even reached out and pressed the back of her head so that the two of them could kiss even more deeply. Jade felt a little suffocated. She was dizzy because of his kiss. She almost could not breathe. In the end, she couldn't take it anymore and started hitting his chest, but he still did not plan to let go. She could only bite his lips. Although his lips didn't bleed, she bit very hard and he felt some pain. He frowned slightly. He knew that she could not take it anymore, but he could not bear to let go of her. At this moment, he looked very unhappy, but there was no emotion in his eyes. It was impossible to see his true thoughts. Episode 146. Do you want me? Jade came back to her senses and looked at Dario in panic. Only now did she realize that she had just caused a huge disaster. She lowered her head and did not dare to look at him. She was afraid and apologetic as she said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Foster. I didn't do it on purpose." Silently in her heart, Jade was saying, "Who asked you to use so much force? I almost couldn't breathe. You deserve it." She tremblingly raised her head. Until then, she hadn't realized that Dario was looking at her with a deep gaze, as if he wanted to see through her. "Tell me, what are you thinking? If you don't say it, I will make you unable to catch your breath." Dario approached her face and tightly pinched her chin. There was even a trace of threat. Jade immediately felt like she was in danger. She knew that he did what he said, but she was conflicted. What did he want to know? His kiss really was too fierce. She had yet to catch her breath from it. She patted her own chest and rested for a long time. She stared at him spitefully. "Mr. Foster, I already said it. What I said just now was what I was thinking. So what do you want me to say? Are you still not willing to say it? Looks like you really want to continue, right?" Dario narrowed his dark eyes. He kept getting closer to her, pretending to be about to kiss her again. How could Jade endure such an intense kiss? She quickly turned her face away. She refused him. "Mr. Foster, what exactly do you want? I don't really want to be kissed by you." "Then tell me, why are you angry?" Dario's tone softened a little. He asked the question again, as if he would not stop until he knew the answer. Jade hesitated, but she was still unable to say it out loud. "You are not willing to say it?" Dario smiled. He kissed her delicate lips again and bit her as if he wanted to punish her. Just as she was about to lose her breath, Dario suddenly said something. "It's because you care about me. I ignored you. It made you feel bad, didn't it?" "No, it didn't." When he heard this, Jade's heart had suddenly jumped. She bit her lower lip tightly and did not want to talk anymore. She didn't want to admit to what he said. Yes, she cared about him very much. In his eyes, she would never have secrets. He would see through her at a glance. She would not admit it or refute it, but her eyes clearly told him that this was the answer. Dario still refused to give in. When he saw that she still refused to open her mouth, he stuck his tongue into her ear again, making her entire body tingle. Moreover, a strange feeling arose in her body. A numbing feeling spread from her ear all the way to her entire body. "If you still won't tell the truth, then I shall continue." Dario felt her trembling body and a trace of success flashed across his eyes. Then, he gently exhaled into her ear. This was her most sensitive part. Jade could not take it any more. Jade shrunk her neck and hurriedly covered her ears. She stared at him and looked at him very unhappily. She knew that if she did not tell the truth, he would not let it go. She told him all of her thoughts, but she said it in a tone of anger. "Mr. Foster, you know everything. So why do you still have to keep asking?" Dario looked at her mad little face and finally smiled handsomely. It was not easy to get Jade to speak. He did not expect that she would have such a stubborn side. He did not expect that he would spend so much time and effort on such a simple woman. "Because I want to hear you say it yourself." Dario had a meaningful smile on his face. He sounded calm, but also aggressive. His words completely broke the last line of defense in Jade's heart. "Yes, I care about you. I care about how cold you are to me. I care about what you think of me. I care about you having intimate contact with other women. You heard it now. Are you satisfied?" Jade was very embarrassed that she was forced to say what she was thinking. Her small face turned red because she had said too much in one breath. She originally thought that after she said so much, he had to have some reaction. He should at least give some explanation. But he seemed to have expected it long ago, and he looked at her very calmly. "Who was it that said that she could control her own heart?" Dario finally looked satisfied. He looked deeply into Jade's eyes. Jade turned her head and looked at him angrily. She wanted to urgently get rid of her embarrassment and could only start babbling nonsense. "I did. So what? What does it have to do with you? I won't tell you anymore. I'm going to shower and sleep. Anyway, you don't care about me. Not only that, you only know how to tease me. I hate you, Mr. Foster." She got off the bed in a huff. She was about to walk into the bathroom when Dario came forward and pressed her against the wall. His hands grabbed her arms domineeringly. The cold feeling behind her slowly woke her up. A pair of blazing eyes stopped on her body. "Then, before you take your shower, can you tell me when you started to feel this way?" Dario got closer and closer. The smile on his face became more and more intense. Today, he seemed to like smiling very much. Jade knew that his question was when she started to care so much about him. But if she said it, then it was just her taking the initiative to confess to him. Why? She had never confessed her love to a man before, apart from in scenes, of course. Besides, shouldn't this be done by the man? Dario had never told her that he liked her, much less that he loved her. Why should she speak first? "When did I say I cared about you?" Jade said stubbornly. She did not know when she started to care so much about Dario. Maybe it was when she was in danger again and again, when he appeared to save her. Maybe it was at the airport, when she saw him talking to other women. Every time she experienced something with him, she liked him more and more. Dario knew that she was shy, so he didn't ask any more questions. He also understood her feelings. He decided he would be satisfied with what she had said. It did not matter. In the future, he would slowly train his little wife and let her learn how to talk about love to him. "Next time, no matter how you want to scold me or hit me, or how you feel dissatisfied or uncomfortable, or if you want me, you have to tell me honestly. Do you know that?" Dario held her in his arms and spoke in a gentle voice. Jade was very touched when she heard those words, but when she heard the last sentence he said, she was speechless. Episode 147. He gave her the ring. But it was also because of this that a flicker of shrewdness suddenly appeared in her confused eyes, and she looked at him as if she had suddenly understood something. Mr. Foster, you know what I'm thinking, right? You did it on purpose, didn't you? Jade pouted. She felt that everything was under his control. She'd been tricked by him. He had gone too far. Little fool, if I didn't do it, you still wouldn't be telling the truth. Dario reached out his hand and touched her little nose. It was very intimate. Is this why you were so cold to me before? Jade said in disbelief. Suddenly, she felt that this calm man in front of her was a little childish. In order to make her speak the truth, he had spent so much effort. Guess. Dario blinked and answered vaguely. Mr. Foster, you are too much. You neglected me for half a month just to hear me say that I care about you? Did you ever think about how I would feel? Jade angrily stared at him. That entire half a month, she did not get any response from him and was so uncomfortable. And he actually still had an indifferent look on his face. Could it be that he did not care about her at all? Seeing Jade's angry expression, Dario finally could not resist kissing her mouth and said rather helplessly, Do you really think that I didn't do anything for half a month? What do you mean? Jade looked at him blankly. Dario did not give her an answer. He just pinched her nose and said, Think about it. Although Dario did not say it directly, Jade roughly guessed it. During those days, she always felt that someone quietly walked into her room when she was sleeping and then left before she woke up. That was why she slept so soundly. Could it be that Dario really rushed over from Washington to watch over her every night? Jade could not help but be shocked by this thought. Wouldn't it be too unreasonable to think that? No, it couldn't be true. Just as she was struggling with this, Dario pushed her into the bathroom and whispered into her ear, Remember to wash up. I want to eat you later. Mr. Foster, eating human flesh is against the law. Jade glared at him fiercely and closed the bathroom door with a bang. In order to prevent him from coming in, she locked the door. After showering, Jade went to the sink to wash her face. She suddenly found a small, beautiful box next to her skincare products. She knew very well that there was nothing there this morning. What was this? Could it be Dario's? Jade curiously picked it up and looked at it. When she opened it, she was stunned on the spot. Inside the box was a diamond ring. There were 28 small diamonds sparkling around the huge center diamond. It was extremely beautiful. The diamond ring was ordered specially by Dario in England. It was made half a month ago. Every diamond inlaid on it was priceless, especially the diamond in the middle. That one was as expensive as a pigeon egg. It had been sold for $3 million. Jade trembled as she held the diamond ring in her hand. She could not believe it. Was this real? Was this for her? Jade quietly looked at the door. With the idea of just giving it a try, she picked up the diamond ring and put it on her finger. She did not expect the size to be just right. It was as if it was prepared for her by nature. The diamond sparkled under the light and appeared exceptionally dazzling. Dario stood at the door and suddenly asked, Is the ring nice? What are you talking about? Jade was shocked. Knowledge is the wedding ring I gave you, Dario said lightly. Jade remembered Ivana showing off her ring and mocked her for not having a ring of her own. It was obvious how important a ring was. A marriage ring was representative of a marriage and representative of a wife's identity. The marriage ring that Dario bought for her meant that he attached great importance to this marriage and attached great importance to her. Jade originally thought that he married her because he wanted to find someone to accompany him. After all, they had not known each other for long at the time. However, after she got along with him, she realized that Dario treated her more seriously than she had imagined. Jade opened the bathroom door with trembling hands. Dario stood at the door and waited. The moment he opened the door, he realized that Jade's eyes were filled with tears. He held her in his arms and gently stroked her hair. His tone was exceptionally gentle. What are you crying for? This should have belonged to you. This is what I owe you. No, Mr. Foster, you don't owe me anything. You've already given me enough. Even without this ring, she was still touched. She did not expect that he could bring her so many surprises in a short day. She was instantly moved and could not say anything. Do you think that I don't care about your feelings because I just treat you as a tool to warm the bed? Dario said plainly, but there was a trace of heartache in his eyes. In fact, the moment Jade saw the ring, all her grievances and uneasiness disappeared. She even started to blame herself. How could she misunderstand him? But she still said very angrily, You just admitted it yourself. Of course you are not just a tool to warm the bed. Jade was just about to question him when his kiss landed on her lips again. Jade, who had just taken a shower, was already a little hot. Adding this kiss and his hot body, her body temperature raised even higher. Her white skin also revealed a trace of pink. Her delicate and alluring appearance made it impossible to resist kissing her. Dario once again pressed her against the cold wall and kissed her hard. Jade almost couldn't remember how many times they had kissed today. Every time she recovered, she was pressed back by him again. It was as if he was going to take back the loss of this half a month. Jade's breathing and heartbeat gradually became chaotic. Her powerless body could only lean against the wall behind her. Episode 148. My heart is the same as yours. Just as she was about to slide down the wall, she put her hand on his neck, and the two of them came closer together. She did not reject him, nor did she want to push him away. She even took the initiative to respond to him. She stuck out her tongue and intertwined it with Dario's. When Dario's kiss almost suffocated her, he hugged her tightly again and began to suck her tender neck, her chest rising and falling. Finally, through her pajamas, he used his mouth to hold one of the small bumps on her chest. What made her even more embarrassed was that he even used his teeth to nibble lightly. Something that she had never experienced before continuously spread in Jade's body. She did not know what kind of feeling this was. She only knew that her body slowly began to feel strange. It was as strange as the last time she was drugged. Her entire body was hot. Mr. Foster, what are you doing?" At this moment, Jade's voice was exceptionally soft. It was so soft that it could melt one's bones. It was this wave of unintentional, coquettish panting that immediately made Dario's lower abdomen heat up. His throat began to go dry, making him suck even more forcefully. "I'm eating you," Dario said with a hoarse, patient voice as he moved to her earlobe. He kissed her earlobe and touched her chest with his other hand. When she felt the hot hand touch her sensitive parts, Jade's body could not help but tremble. That unusual feeling became even stronger. Mr. Foster, don't do this, okay?" Jade squinted her eyes and couldn't help but gasp. When this voice came out of her mouth, even she herself thought it was actually some other charming person. Did that voice really come out of her mouth? When Dario heard her, he could not keep it together any longer, and his movements became even more ferocious. "Do you still want to call me Mr. Foster? Really?" Dario kissed her earlobe and walked around her even more brazenly. Before Jade could react, his hands had already reached into her pajamas and touched her smooth skin. "What else should I call you?" Jade said with difficulty breathing. Now her entire body was weak and she was completely controlled by Dario. "Of course you should call me hubby, or maybe you should call me by name." Dario's hand had already reached under her skirt. He could easily touch her round butt through her thin underwear. Mr. Foster, don't be like this." Jade's body felt more and more strange. She wanted to take Dario's hand away, but with her strength, she definitely could not resist him. This made him even more willful in her pajamas. Under his touch, her skin seemed to have become even redder. The ring on her hand was sparkling. It was even more dazzling than the bright moon. "I'm going to eat you." Dario, who had long been aroused by love, moved closer to her ear. "How are you going to eat me?" Jade answered in a daze, completely out of her control. She only felt him whisper in her ear, "You'll know later." She was carried to the soft waterbed by him. Because of the vibration, the water in the bed continuously rippled, and Jade's body swayed along with it. Dario turned on the dim light on the bed, and the atmosphere immediately became uncertain. Jade's body felt this unknown fear and tensed up. She did not dare to move at all. "Be good and relax." Dario's magic voice sounded in her ear. After that, he began to kiss her face gently. Every movement was very focused and serious. It was also very gentle. He kissed her on her eyebrows, eyes, nose, and then a little bit lower. Jade's originally clear eyes were now covered with a layer of fog. A strange feeling spread in her heart. She felt his kiss landing on her face and then his hand gently caressing her body. She went from resisting at the beginning to accepting and adapting. Under his gentle, long foreplay, Jade actually felt by the end that she somewhat liked this feeling. She liked being kissed by him like this and being touched by him like this. There were even a few times when she could not help but make an unfamiliar, coquettish cry. Every time she wanted to let out a strange sound in her throat, she would bite her lip tightly, not wanting to let herself cry out. However, she did not know that her reluctant manner had aroused Dario's interest even more. It made him want to tease her even more to make her make these sounds under his body. "Come over and help me take off my clothes." Dario pulled her little hand and asked her to take off her clothes too. Jade was in a daze and did not refuse. When she took off her underwear, she felt awkward. His member was already high up and wanted to break out. The tight underwear could not hide what was inside. Jade was shocked and quickly retracted her hand. She was very shy. Although this had happened before, she could still not accept simply doing this kind of thing. Dario did not force her. He took off his clothes and threw them to the side. He pressed himself tightly to her body. Even through the fabric of her pajamas, she could clearly feel something hot was pressing against her private part. She took a deep breath and felt a numbing and somewhat comfortable feeling coming from her lower body. Because she was afraid, she couldn't help but reach out her hand to grab his arm and dig her nails in. But Dario didn't care about such a small matter. He buried his head in front of her chest. An inexplicable sense of pleasure, like a wave, overcame Jade. "Mr. Foster." Jade grabbed at his strong arm helplessly, because this was her first time doing this. She did not know what to do next. She was very nervous and could not stop trembling. Dario comforted her and kissed her lips. Using an extremely seductive voice, he lured her. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." For some reason, Jade heard his voice and felt his kiss and immediately felt less afraid. But she did not know if she should continue because she still had questions in her heart. "Mr. Foster, do you really want to do that to me? Then what will you do to me after?" Jade lifted her head and looked into his eyes that were filled with desire. She had to ask clearly. "My heart is the same as yours." Dario did not answer her directly. Instead, he replied with these words. Then he gently kissed her lips. When she heard Dario's answer, she immediately felt relieved. She felt that the uneasiness and doubts of the past half a month ago had been resolved. He said that his feelings were the same as hers. That meant that he was also like her, that he cared about her too. Episode 149. Why do you still want to make love? Jade reached out and squeezed Dario's fingers. Only then could she feel safe. Could she really give herself completely to this man in front of her? Dario impatiently took off her pajamas. At first, Jade was not that shy, but when he was about to take off her underwear, she pulled hard to keep her underwear up. No matter what, she would not let him do this. If he took off her underwear too, he would see her naked body. "Mr. Foster, I'm scared." Jade twisted her body away. She wanted him to keep touching her, but at the same time, she was afraid of what was going to happen next. "Don't be afraid. You have to call me by my name." Dario patiently kissed her ear and coaxed her. His hand gently caressed her body and comforted her. "Dario!" Every time Jade wanted to call him Mr. Foster, he would bite her earlobe like a punishment, making her feel very uncomfortable. In the end, she had no choice but to call him by his name. Her gentle and seductive voice reached Dario's ears, instantly making him restless. He pressed his mouth close to hers. He used his commanding tongue to kiss her hard and then said, "Say my name again." "Dario," Jade said, shaking her head. "You will call me that from now on, okay? I like when you call me by my name." Dario kissed her forehead in satisfaction and stopped teasing her. When he felt that it was the right time, Dario straightened his body and slowly entered her body. Although he was already moving very slow, Jade still grimaced. She was extremely nervous, and her entire body was tense. She felt that his manhood was bigger than what she usually saw. Dario saw her pained expression. He did not dare to go in anymore. This was the first time he cared so much about a person's feelings. His movements were so slow and gentle. He was careful, as if he was afraid of hurting the person beneath him. Jade tightly bit her lower lip and panted. She could not help but look at him. Although she was in pain, she did not say anything. She just tightly held onto the bedsheet. Her face was covered in sweat, and her lips were about to bleed. She wanted to pretend that she was not in pain. She did not want Dario to be upset because of her. However, she could not escape his eyes. Dario felt sorry for her when he saw her look. He put his hand on her lips. He rubbed his hand against them. Finally, he sighed. He suppressed his desire and withdrew from her body. His heart ached as he said, "Let's not make love." But just as he was about to leave, Jade reached out and wrapped her arms around his waist. She said in an extremely gentle voice, "It's okay, Dario. I can do it." Seeing her persistent gaze, Dario suddenly became very serious. He wiped the sweat off her forehead and said worriedly, "Are you sure you want to continue?" Jade quietly looked at his tender eyes. Although she was very afraid, she had made up her mind to give herself to him completely. Sheila was right. Only in this way would this family be considered complete. She firmly nodded her head. She had already agreed. She even took the initiative to hug his body to hers, making him stick closely to her. It was also because of her permission that Dario's manhood became even more swollen. His eyes flashed with a trace of light and joy. This was the first time she had done something like this to him. He put his arm in between Jade's teeth and said softly, "If you're in pain, bite me. I will be careful." Jade shyly nodded, but she knew that she could not bear to bite him. "Mr. Foster, I believe you. I am willing to give myself to you." Jade felt like her body was about to burst when she said the last part. Dario had prepared himself well before making love. While kissing her, he took advantage of her distraction to enter her body. At first, Jade only felt pain. She even wanted to stop a few times, but when she saw Dario's gentle and expectant eyes, she resisted the pain. Dario could feel her trembling. He tried his best to slow down. When he saw the pained expression on Jade's face disappear, he started to speed up his movements. Slowly, Jade broke free from the pain and tasted a trace of joy. That was a comfort she had never felt before. She even wanted to moan several times. Dario quietly enjoyed the feeling of having sex with her. He did not get tired of it. He liked this feeling very much. Jade didn't even know when she fell asleep. She just felt very tired. But that comfortable feeling appeared again and again. This made her very fascinated. They made love over and over until she was exhausted. Still, he didn't seem to be tired. He wanted to keep making love to her. The room became filled with a strong smell of love and desire. The next day, Jade was woken up by his touch. "Mr. Foster, don't touch me. I'm so sleepy." Dario did not say anything, nor did he stop what he was doing. Suddenly, she felt someone pressing down on her. Even more, it was as if something else was touching her. She suddenly opened her eyes and discovered that she was lying there naked, and Dario was also naked. The two of them were very close. At that moment, Dario was pressing on her body, licking her most sensitive parts. Because she was not wearing clothes, he could easily kiss the tops of her chest. Mr. Foster, what are you doing? You've gone too far." Jade screamed and could not help kicking him. This was too much excitement for this early in the morning. She really suspected that Dario had taken an aphrodisiac. Why did he have so much desire for her? He had made love with her so many times yesterday, yet he actually still wanted to make love today. When Jade thought of what had happened the night before, she immediately felt shy and wanted to find a place to sit up. The morning sunlight passed through the gap between the curtains and shone on their naked bodies. Jade hurriedly pushed Dario away and pulled up the blanket to cover herself. She turned her head to the side, not daring to look at his naked body because it was too attractive. Episode 150. A beautiful day has begun. Neither of them were wearing any clothes, so they felt very good. Jade could even feel Dario's thick leg hair rubbing against her smooth thighs. This posture was really too ambiguous. Why did she go to sleep without putting on her pajamas last night? Jade knew that she couldn't easily answer the ambiguous question Dario had just asked. "I'm not awake yet," she said, as she looked at him angrily. Dario raised his eyebrows and pressed against her even harder. She could clearly feel him pressing against her. Because she wasn't wearing any underwear, she could distinctly feel his heat, his shape, and everything about him. Jade felt very shy. "You haven't woken up yet. I'll wake you up. A beautiful day has begun." Dario leaned close to her ear and spoke in a lazy and hoarse voice. He had just woken up. Jade covered her red face and didn't dare to look into his eyes. Before she could completely wake up, she felt a familiar sense of haste and of being attacked. She could clearly feel Dario violently hitting her body. He was even more violent than the day before. Jade, who hadn't woken up yet, couldn't endure the stimulation. She soon submitted to him and couldn't stop herself from breathing harder. "Ah, Mr. Foster, what are you doing? Stop!" Things were moving so fast that she felt like a huge wave was pouring down on her. "Are you sure you want to stop?" Dario revealed a mischievous smile and immediately stopped what he was doing. Jade wasn't used to it. After he went out, she felt that her body was empty and it made her feel uncomfortable. She wasn't used to this, but she was too embarrassed to open her mouth, so she could only quietly whisper to Dario, "Do you want to continue?" Dario stared at her twisting body, and a trace of success appeared in his eyes. Jade stubbornly replied, "No." "You really don't want to?" "No, no." However, when his hand touched her body, she immediately revealed a coquettish expression. "Getting up early to exercise is good for you," Dario said calmly, and then went back into her body. Jade bit her lower lip so that she wouldn't scream. Her body didn't resist. Compared to Jade's rosy face, her body was fairer and wider. The two of them didn't seem to be doing the same thing. His movements were very gentle. She only began to slowly increase her speed after getting used to it. Dario's gaze was fixed on her body. Slowly, her body changed. He felt her trembling in his arms. He liked to look at her face and watch her expression slowly change from pain to happiness. Jade gave her first time to this man. She felt that she was forcefully woken up after still being asleep. Afterward, Jade was filled with an unfamiliar feeling for a long time. Dario quietly hugged her and gently kissed her face. He wiped the sweat from her face, and his eyes were full of satisfaction. Compared to Jade's tired face, Dario appeared especially energetic. Jade's entire body was soft and collapsed in his arms. She only felt a burst of pain from the inside of her thigh. She even found moving very difficult. She lay in his arms in a daze, and she still felt dizzy after being awake for a little while. She really hadn't expected Dario to ask her to sacrifice herself so many times in one night. It was almost like torturing her to death. She lay there powerlessly and didn't want to move at all. After a while, she found that she was still naked on Dario's body. Her body was wet and sticky, and the blanket was filled with passion in their love. She narrowed her eyes and looked at the sunlight that was shining on the floor. She seemed to have thought of something and suddenly sat up. She anxiously grabbed her phone and looked at the time. Sure enough, it was already past 8 o'clock. She thought it was strange that she had slept in, since she had clearly turned on her alarm clock. Why did the alarm not ring again? She immediately looked at Dario with a frown on her face and asked angrily, "Why did you turn off my alarm clock again? Didn't I tell you that I'm going back to the film crew today and that I can't be late? Mr. Foster, you're really too bad." After speaking, Jade immediately felt that she was awake. She wanted to quickly climb out of the bed, but when she stepped on the ground, she found that her entire body was sore. Even moving was difficult for her. She was even more tired than she was after shooting a whole day of scenes. Jade felt that her entire body was soft. When she was about to fall, Dario appeared just in time and held her from behind. He even pulled her back to the bed and kissed her on the cheek. He said very calmly, "Don't be anxious. I've already applied for leave for you. It's been a week." Jade turned around and looked at him in shock. She said in disbelief, "What? You already applied for leave?" "Yes," Dario nodded. "Did the director agree?" "You can ask him yourself." Jade couldn't help but doubt Dario's words. She hesitatingly grabbed her phone and looked at it carefully. She actually found a message from the director. He told her to rest for another week before coming back to film. She rubbed her eyes in disbelief. How was that possible? She had never heard of anyone taking such a long vacation. Even Michael Porter had never taken such a long leave of absence, and she had already rested for 3 days. In total, that meant she had 10 days left. But she should have finished filming by the end of the week. Wouldn't a week off slow down her progress? But won't this be bad? Jade looked at Dario in disbelief and seemed very hesitant. She didn't know if she should rest or not. She kept feeling that a week off was a little strange. She couldn't believe that the director had actually agreed to let her, the lead actress, take such a long leave of absence, especially since she wasn't sick or in pain. Although she felt that it was strange, she still didn't say anything. Since the director had agreed, she would stay and spend time with her grandmother and Mr. Foster. "No buts. The director has already said it, so what are you afraid of? Are you tired? Lie down obediently." Dario smiled slightly and narrowed his dark eyes. He only wanted to push Jade down. Episode 151. You Can Only Kiss Me. Dario's low and evil voice sounded in her ears, carrying a trace of love and desire. Jade immediately felt a little strange. She lowered her head and looked at what Dario was doing. Only then did she realize that he was hugging her naked body, and his hands were right under her chest. "I'm not tired. I'm going to get up." She quickly covered her chest in fear and found the underwear, pants and pajamas that she had taken off the night before and put them on. However, Dario didn't seem to have any intention of putting his clothes on. He lay there naked as if he wanted to show off his body. He leaned in an elegant posture and watched Jade put on her clothes without blinking. Jade sneaked a glance and couldn't help swallowing her saliva. She admitted that Dario had a very good figure, but he didn't need to show it off all day long. Dario got up and hugged her from behind. He gently leaned his chin on her tender shoulder. The stubble on his chin made her shoulder itch and sting, but he didn't want her to push him away. "How was it? Were you satisfied with my service yesterday?" Dario's voice was very bewitching. It seemed like he was trying to lure and seduce her. When Jade heard him talking about the night before, her face instantly turned red. Her body couldn't help but tremble. She could still smell his scent on her body. Jade didn't have the nerve to answer such a question. She found it very embarrassing. But when Dario saw that she didn't answer him, he wanted to ask again. The more he asked, the more direct he became. "Jade, are you satisfied with my size? How has your husband disappointed you?" Jade's heart trembled and she almost suffocated. She couldn't say a word. She thought, God, what kind of man is this behind her? How could he say such things with a calm expression? "Are you comfortable?" Dario asked again. His voice was getting softer and softer, and it was mixed with love and desire. He kept reminding her about how they'd been together the night before. Jade didn't know why Dario was talking so much. He was usually very cold. Why are there so many questions today? He touched her body as he spoke. Jade couldn't take it anymore. She stared at his clear, apricot eyes and roared, "Mr. Foster, enough! Don't say any more." Are you sure you want to call me Mr. Foster?" Mr. Foster lowered his head and bit her tender shoulder as if he wanted to punish her. Jade frowned and said in confusion, "Then what should I call you? Haven't I always called you that?" "You should call me your hubby," Dario said in a commanding tone that couldn't be resisted. "But I really can't say that." Jade looked at him with some difficulty. It really wasn't easy for her to take the step the night before. She felt that she really couldn't call him her hubby again. "Then why don't you call me by my name?" Dario stared into her eyes with a hint of warning. It seemed that she couldn't call him by his name. She could also clearly feel that something was pressing against her from behind. She couldn't help but panic. Oh my God, how could he still be so energetic? Don't tell me he wants more. Jade's back was still aching. Dario didn't feel tired at all. Afraid that Dario would act recklessly again, Jade could only choose to submit first. "Dario?" "Yeah?" Dario's expression changed drastically when he heard her say his name. He even pushed her body forward. Jade was so scared that she immediately changed her words. "Heavens, Mr. Foster!" She'd always called him Mr. Foster. Now that she had changed her name, she was really not used to it. "Be good. Remember to call me Mr. Foster again next time. I want you to do it again. Do you understand?" Dario looked at her with satisfaction. However, just when Jade thought she was free, Dario suddenly changed the topic and said, "But you have called me Mr. Foster several times just now. Let's make up for what you owe." Jade heard his serious and twisted logic and was dumbfounded. Whenever she fought with him, she was always at a disadvantage. "Mr. Foster, how can you be like this?" "Ah!" Jade screamed and then covered her mouth in fear. There was a trace of slyness in Dario's eyes, as if he had caught her at something. "Not again. It seems that you really like it when I attacked you." I don't have one. I was careless." When he finished speaking, Dario carried Jade and rolled her on the bed. The temperature in the room rose, and the room was filled with the smell of love and desire. There were also waves of screaming. "Ah, Dario, you're too bad. I hate you so much." "That's fine. I'll make you feel so good later." "Ah, bastard, I don't want it anymore." In the end, neither of them ate breakfast. They'd been on the bed the whole time, and after Jade finished snuggling with him, she was as if in a daze. She felt as though someone was wiping her body with a warm and soft towel. It made her feel very comfortable. It also seemed like someone helped her put on her underwear and pajamas, and then covered her with a soft blanket. She seemed to hear someone talking to her. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I'll definitely restrain myself next time." She was so tired that she was completely unconcerned about what was happening around her. She fell asleep in a daze. When she woke up again, it was already past 3 in the afternoon. She really felt that her biological clock had been messed up since she came back, especially after what had happened the night before. If she wasn't too hungry, she would probably be able to sleep for longer. She looked at the pajamas on her body and felt especially refreshed. She was no longer wet or had that sticky feeling. Then she realized that Dario had gently wiped her body while she was sleeping. She touched the cold sheet next to her and suddenly had some doubts. Jade thought, wasn't he here? Is he up? It's already late, so he must have gone to work. Jade put her hand on Dario's pillow and saw the shiny ring on her finger. She felt warm and touched. When Jade thought of last night and the ridiculous things that happened that morning, her face turned red. But despite her shyness, there was a smile on her face. "Thank you, Mr. Foster." Jade kissed the ring. Out of nowhere, a familiar voice came from the door as she kissed it. "Your mouth is mine. You can only kiss me." Episode 152. Medicine for what? Jade looked up and saw Dario leaning against the door in his casual clothes. His sleeves were rolled up, revealing his strong arms. When she saw him, she couldn't help but think about what had happened that night, and her face turned red. Before she could react, Dario had already moved close to her, and he looked at her red cheeks. There was a meaningful smile on his face. "What, you still want more?" What do you think?" Jade looked at him in confusion. "What do you think?" After understanding what he meant, Jade's face became even redder, and her body suddenly felt hot. I don't want it. Go away, you piece of shit." Her body was still in pain. Every time Dario saw her shy face, he couldn't help himself from teasing her. "Oh, so you really don't want it?" No, Dario, you're too vulgar, and you're spoiling me." "Oh, is that so? Then let me see how bad you can be." Dario leaned forward and hugged her soft body. His eyes were burning. Jade's heart tightened, and she immediately felt that something was wrong. Looking at him, she couldn't tell if he wanted to mess around again, but she really couldn't take it anymore. Although she admitted that doing it was very comfortable with him, the next day her entire body felt crippled. He hadn't even given her a chance to relax. No, she couldn't let him ask for more. Otherwise, if he came back every day, she wouldn't be able to film anymore. "Mr. Foster, don't be like this. I'm really tired," Jade said shyly. She lowered her head. When she finished speaking, she felt extremely embarrassed. Dario's pupils contracted. Then he said calmly, "Don't you want to eat?" Eat?" Jade was stunned. She thought to herself, so he only came to ask me to eat, not for that? Speaking of eating, she was very hungry after sleeping for the whole day. "Or do you want to eat me?" No, I want to eat. I'll get up immediately." When she heard Dario's hint, she didn't dare to stay in bed any longer. She quickly got up. "Go wash up first. I've made soup for you. It's been too long since you last ate. You should drink some soup first since it's good for your stomach," Dario said as he gently put on a coat for her. Jade was very touched when she heard him. She couldn't help but look at him tenderly, but just when she was touched, Dario's next words immediately broke her heart. "Don't look at me like that. If you do, I won't be able to resist pressing you down. Don't worry. When the time comes, I'll satisfy you." When Dario said this, he emphasized the word satisfied. Jade blushed when she heard him. She hurried to the living room because she felt that she could no longer stay in the room with him. Dario always said such strange things. She only wanted to eat, but he always distorted her own intentions. She really hated that. What did she care about being satisfied or not? Was she that hungry and thirsty of a person? Although it was already the afternoon, Dario knew that she was going to get up and make delicious food. The flower petals and candles from the night before had been cleaned up. The room was clean and tidy. No one would have been able to tell that the romantic scene from the night before had even happened. Jade looked at the clean floor and even began to suspect that the scene from the night before was only a dream. However, the roses were still on the table in a beautiful vase full of water. At the same time, she also felt surprised. Dario was so fast. Could he have gotten up early to clean the house? "Come and sit down to eat." Dario pulled out a chair and filled a bowl of soup for her. Then he gave her a spoon and filled another bowl of rice for her. He was very careful. Jade took a sip of the fragrant chicken soup and felt very satisfied. The chicken soup that Dario made was delicious. It was very rich, and it suited her taste very well. It had been a long time since she had tasted his food, and she missed it very much. She soon finished her first bowl and started on a second. "That, Mr. Foster?" She just called out this name when his sharp gaze swept over her. Jade was dumbfounded for a moment. Realizing that she'd made a mistake, she immediately called him by his first name. "Dario, you've done all the work for the past few days. You're also washing clothes. I'll help more tomorrow." "No need. You just need to rest," Dario said plainly. Jade was about to say, "Dario, you're really good." But then Dario said something that shocked her. "If you don't rest well, How will you have the energy to continue exercising with me? Jade had just taken a sip of soup and almost spat it out. So that was why he wanted her to have a good rest. She gave him a fierce glare. She no longer dared to speak casually, she just ate her food. No matter what she said, she would always be at a disadvantage with Dario. When she was almost finished eating, she looked at him carefully and was about to say, "Let me wash the dishes." But Dario already seemed to have seen through her intentions. Before she could say anything, he said coldly to her, "After you finish your meal, sit on the couch and watch TV. I'll wash the dishes." "Oh," Jade nodded reluctantly. She didn't want to fight with him. She knew that she couldn't win against him anyway. Jade sat in the living room after filling herself up. Seeing Dario cook for her and wash the dishes, she suddenly felt very happy. Outside their home, he was the high and mighty president of his company. Inside, he was the virtuous and hard-working hubby. She felt very happy to have found such a good hubby. At the same time, she felt a little ashamed. As a wife, she'd only washed the clothes and cooked the meals a few times, and she even asked him to do housework. She had to change. She had to be a good wife, and maybe someday, a good mother too. After Dario washed the dishes, he brought her a fruit platter and a cup of hot water with a small pill. "Eat it," Dario said. Jade looked up at him in surprise. Then she smiled and said, "Dario, I'm not sick. Why would I take medicine?" "It's an emergency contraceptive medicine. I was in a hurry yesterday. I'll take care to get the condoms next time." His attitude was also a little tough. Episode 153. Her heart trembled. Jade wasn't a little girl who didn't know anything, but when she heard Dario mention the emergency contraceptive medicine, her heart trembled and she felt uncomfortable. It was as if something were pressing down on her chest. Even her breathing became difficult. She narrowed her eyes and stared at the small pill in disbelief. After a long time, she finally opened her mouth with difficulty and said, "So you don't want to have children?" She couldn't help but sneer at the medicine. Why did he want her to take the medicine? The night before, he had flirted with her and wanted to do such a thing to her, but now he was forcing her to take medicine. Didn't he say that he wanted to have a child with her? Could it be that he was only lying to her for her body? Her eyes instantly filled with tears. But when she thought of how heartless he was, she forced her tears back. Without hesitation, she took the pill from his hand and swallowed it down fiercely, as if she had enmity with him. She drank the water in one big gulp. Dario glanced at her and noticed that something was wrong with her expression, but he didn't say anything. He just took a small apple and went to hand it to her, but she completely ignored him. She walked straight to the bedroom and said coldly, "I'm going to read the script." She didn't even look at the fruit that Dario had carefully brought over. As she got up, she couldn't help but moan because her body still hurt. She had to be careful while walking, otherwise it would hurt. Dario saw her trying to get up, and a trace of pain flashed across his eyes. He quickly went forward to carry her. "I'll carry you over." "No need." Dario ignored her words and coldly carried her back to the bedroom. After he placed her on the bed, he ordered, "Lie down." Jade didn't do as he said. She just looked at him angrily and said unhappily, "What do you want?" "If I say to lie down, then lie down." "I don't want to. I want to see the script." Although her attitude was very tough, she still lay on the bed as he spoke. Jade was frowning. She thought that he was going to try to do that kind of thing again. Just when she was about to reject him, she felt a wave of comfort suddenly come from behind her. She turned her head in surprise and found that he was starting to massage her. At first, she wanted to refuse, but she couldn't because it was so comfortable. She rested her eyes and began to enjoy it. Just as she was getting comfortable, she suddenly felt a cold sensation on her lower body. When she turned around, she was shocked to find that her underwear had been taken off, and Dario seemed to have applied something to her body. She couldn't help but shiver. She hurriedly hid by the bed and looked at him nervously as she pulled her underwear up. "Dario, can you show me some respect? I'm really tired. I don't want to do that anymore." Dario raised his eyebrows. He looked into her angry eyes and said lightly, "What? Do you still want to do that with me?" Jade was so angry that she almost screamed in response. "No!" Then she noticed a tube of ointment in his hand. She thought that he must have already applied it to her. "What is that?" "Lie down," said Dario. "The ointment hasn't been applied yet." "What is it?" Jade said nervously. Earlier, he asked her to take emergency contraceptive medicine, and now he was applying ointment? What was he trying to do? "Doesn't it hurt down there?" Dario looked at her apologetically. There was a trace of pain in his eyes. He knew that that night had been her first time, but he couldn't help but want her several times. Her body was so good that he was intoxicated by it. That was why he couldn't control himself. He never thought that he, who had always been known as restrained, would have such a moment of indulgence. He really had to be careful in the future. "A little," Jade said with embarrassment. It was true that she was in pain. When she woke up in the morning, there was a little bit of blood. "It's normal that it hurts. The pain should go away after the ointment." Jade let out a sigh of relief when she heard him. She was relieved to learn what kind of medicine it was. She hesitatingly took the ointment from his hand and softly said, "I'll apply it myself." "No need. Lie down. Besides, you can't see," Dario said as he forcefully pressed her onto the bed and gently applied the medicine to her. Jade's position was too awkward. Although she really wanted him to stop, she couldn't move at all. In the end, she could only take a pillow and press it to her face. That way, she could get rid of some of the awkwardness. She felt his fingers gently applying the ointment. The ointment was refreshing and immediately caused the swelling and pain to subside quite a bit. Then she felt Dario put on her underwear and pat her butt. When he was finished, she slowly removed the pillow from her face and found that she was alone in the room. Jade looked around in confusion and then saw that Dario had already run a bath. She looked depressed. Why did he take a bath in broad daylight? She waited for him as she read the script. After realizing that Dario hadn't come out for half an hour, she felt a little worried. She went up and asked, "Mr. Foster, are you all right?" After a long time, a clear voice filled with desire and hope sounded from inside. "I'm fine. You're lying down." Jade swallowed her saliva and felt that she knew why he suddenly went to take a bath. She went to the bed obediently. After a while, Dario got out of the bath and came to sit on the bed. She immediately felt a chill coming from his body. She frowned and touched his hand. Her heart ached when she found that his hand and body were both very cold. "Mr. Foster, why did you take a bath in cold water? It's very easy to catch a cold like that." Although she was very angry about what had just happened, she still cared about him. Dario didn't answer her. He just sat quietly on the bed. Jade deliberately pretended not to care anymore and started reading the script. After a long time, Dario asked, "Are you still angry?" Jade couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. She pretended that she didn't know what he was talking about and said calmly, "Why would I be angry?" Episode 154. Was he a gangster or a drug lord? "You're angry because of the medicine." Jade's heart trembled. It turned out that he knew everything, but she didn't want to seem transparent in front of him. "I have nothing to be angry about. If you let me eat, I will eat." When Jade said this, it clearly sounded abnormal. Her voice was a little hoarse and seemed very sad. Dario reached out his hand and touched her hair. His heart ached as he looked into her eyes. "Your acting career has just begun. If you get pregnant, it will affect your career. I think we should talk about a child in a few years." "Mr. Foster, what? What did you say?" "Although I really want it, I can't be selfish." Jade looked up and found that his eyes were serious. Her heart couldn't help but tremble. She frowned and looked at him in disbelief. "So, Mr. Foster, you did this so I could continue filming?" Tears were starting to roll down Jade's face. "Little fool." Dario touched the tip of her nose. Dario wanted Jade to be home, be by him. He really wanted her to stay by his side. He didn't want her to work at filming, but how could he bear to break her wings? It made her lose her smile. He had already thought it through. When his wife had fulfilled her dreams, he would take her away. Jade's heart was moved when she heard him gently call her a little fool and say that they should wait to have a child for the sake of her career. She couldn't help but go forward and hug him tightly. The tears in her eyes couldn't be stopped from flowing down. Dario patted her back and coaxed her like he was coaxing a child. "All right, don't cry. And did you forget what I said? Call Mr. Foster whenever you want. Or do you want it that much? Dario's serious expression suddenly changed and revealed a trace of an evil smile. Jade was touched. She immediately raised her head and stared at him angrily. She pouted and said, "Mr. Foster, you are really too bad. I don't want it." "You're shouting again. It looks like you really want to live a life of sex and happiness." After hearing the words, sex and happiness, Jade quickly covered her mouth with her hand, afraid that she would say something else. She also realized that what he implied was sex and not happiness. She knew him too well. "All right, I'll let you go today. After you rest well, I'll naturally satisfy you." Knowing that she wasn't used to saying his name yet, he didn't force her. In any case, she would get used to it sooner or later. By the way, Mr. Foster, Dario, how much does that diamond ring cost? Jade suddenly looked at him weakly. She felt a little guilty because he had bought the house and the furniture. Even her grandmother's medical fees were paid by him. And now, she had bought a diamond ring that was probably very expensive. If it was, it would affect his life. Seeing her worried and cute face, Dario couldn't help but kiss her tender lips. It seemed like he had really married a good wife and that she would be a good mother. He was constantly paying attention to his financial situation. "You don't have to worry about money. I want you to have a nice marriage ring," Dario said indifferently. Dario didn't want to tell her how much the ring was, and Jade didn't want to keep asking. But she felt that the big diamond ring in her hand must have been very, very expensive. Otherwise, why would her cousin Ivana flaunt her ring in front of her that day? Moreover, Jade's ring seemed to be much bigger than Ivana's. She thought that Bruce must have given Ivana that ring. Since he was rich, it must not have been cheap. Wouldn't the ring that Dario gave Jade be even more expensive? She secretly made up her mind to earn more money so that she could share the financial burden with Dario. "By the way, Dario, I'm very curious about what kind of work you do. Do you own a company? Or are you a boss or a manager?" Jade blinked her big eyes and held his hand as she spoke. She'd known Dario for a month, and she still didn't know what he did. She felt that it wasn't fair because he knew everything about her like the back of his hand, but she didn't seem to know anything about him. "Do you really want to know?" Dario said in a low voice as he leaned close to her ear. Jade nodded firmly, but she didn't understand. It was just a job, so why was he so mysterious? Was he a gangster and didn't want her to know? Maybe he was a drug dealer or was selling firearms. The more Jade thought about it, the more terrified she became. Was that why he didn't let her do anything? But how could someone from the underworld be so handsome? Wouldn't it be dangerous for her to be his wife? Jade thought more and more. She frowned. Dario saw that she must be thinking about something. He knocked on her head and asked helplessly, "What are you thinking about in that little head?" "No, nothing." Jade carefully sized him up and thought that those things must not be true. "I work at the Milliken Agency," Dario suddenly replied. "Ah, Milliken? Which Milliken? Why does that sound so familiar? Could it be a different name?" Jade couldn't help but mutter, "Isn't Milliken the company I signed with?" "Think about it yourself," Dario said lightly. "You aren't talking about the Milliken Film and Entertainment Company, are you?" Jade stared at him in surprise. Did that mean the two of them were working for the same company? But Dario wasn't an actor. What did he do there? Could he be an agent? It didn't seem like it. And why had she never seen him there before? "But when I saw you at Milliken last time, didn't you say that you were only doing something there? Why didn't you tell me that you worked there?" Jade really didn't understand him. She had a gut feeling that he was trying to trick her. When she still had a bunch of questions to ask, Dario directly pressed her onto the bed and kissed her wantonly, as if he didn't want to continue talking about that topic. Jade didn't dare to respond since she was afraid that he would do something reckless again. But she didn't expect that he would kiss her until she was about to die. He suddenly stopped, tidied up his clothes, and walked out of the bedroom with a cold expression. He said that he was going to the study room to get some work done and let her rest properly. He even specially instructed her not to disturb him. Jade felt a little depressed. Why did Dario change day by day? He'd just been so warm to her that it was like he couldn't wait to swallow her alive. Why was he suddenly so cold after? Was he forcefully holding back his desire for her body? Just then, she seemed to have felt his heat. She thought for a moment. It seemed like he was suppressing his desires. As she thought, Jade felt warm in her heart. He had helped her clean up, wiped her body, and even applied medicine to her when she was sleeping. That was really rare. Over the next few days, Jade mostly spent her time at home and didn't go out because it was rare for her to have several days to rest. Firstly, she didn't want to go out. Secondly, it wasn't convenient for her to go out since she was afraid that others would recognize her. After all, she was famous now. During those days at home, Jade once again lived the life of a princess who came and went, and her life was very comfortable. Although she really wanted to cook and do household chores, Dario wouldn't let her. Every time Jade made up her mind to get up earlier than Dario to make breakfast for him, Dario always turned off the alarm, got up earlier, and did everything before she was up. She decided to give up and enjoy it with a clear conscience. Episode 155. Dario found Jade was at the airport. "Sam, when we were at the airport that day, Did you notice anything strange? Dario asked coldly and lowered his eyes. Dario thought for a long time. He had met Evelyn and Miss Monica that day, and Sam was also there. He only asked casually. He didn't expect that he would actually think of something important. No, I didn't notice anything strange, but I did see beauty. Actually, now that I think of it, that beauty seemed a little familiar. I've seen her on TV recently. I didn't realize that I had met a celebrity that day. How could I forget her fresh and refined appearance? Dario's face darkened. Even through the phone, Sam could feel his coldness. A woman? What woman? Do you remember what she looked like? Dario narrowed his eyes and tried to guess what she looked like. Oh, she's that popular female celebrity who's been featured in so many advertisements recently. The one who advertised shampoo recently. Seems to be known as Jade? Okay, I got it. Hey, Dario, why'd you call? Sam asked. Before Sam could finish, Dario hung up the phone. Then he asked Lucas to check the surveillance outside the airport. Sure enough, he found a familiar figure who happened to see Dario and Evelyn hugging each other, but the figure disappeared very quickly. Although she was wearing a hat and sunglasses, he would never forget the clothes she was wearing, and even if she covered herself up, he could recognize her at a glance. So she was also at the airport that day. No wonder she'd been so strange for the past half-month and always brought up other women. A hint of a smile suddenly appeared in Dario's eyes. He also knew why she was making trouble for no reason. It turned out that she was jealous. Dario was inexplicably happy in his heart. Over the next few days, after Jade had gotten enough rest, Dario started to grab her every second he could. Jade felt that she was woken up from her sleep by his passion every day. That day too, it was the same. She opened her eyes in a daze. As expected, her pajamas and underwear had all disappeared, and she was naked under this handsome man. Dario! Jade had just called out and wanted to ask him what he was doing when her mouth was covered with his hot lips. Dario touched her graceful figure and kissed her deeply. It was as if she wanted to rub her entire body into his. After the last few days of training and teaching, Jade's body was no longer as resistant. Sometimes she even took the initiative to welcome him. But because of her shyness, she had no choice but to be more reserved. However, no matter how reserved she was, she still had to be more reserved since there was no way she could escape from under Dario's body. As long as he moved lightly, he would be able to easily find the ignited flame. Jade couldn't stand being kissed, so she moved her sore body. She weakly reached out her soft hand and pushed his chest. Dario, don't be like this. I haven't had breakfast yet and I'm hungry. Let's talk after eating. Jade felt extremely ashamed when she said the last part. After being with him as long as she had, she felt that her skin was getting thicker and thicker, and her words were becoming increasingly vulgar. At the end of the day, he felt that he couldn't continue as he had been. It's fine, you can eat me for breakfast. Dario continued to kiss her sensitive neck. Suddenly, a bell rang, breaking the ambiguous atmosphere. The sound of the bell woke Jade up in an instant. Her blurry eyes quickly became clear. She pushed Dario's body away and anxiously said, It's a phone call. The phone is ringing. Don't worry about him. Jade thought that he would let her go answer the phone, but he didn't even get up to look at it. He only silenced it and turned back and continued their exercise. Although there was no more sound, Jade noticed that his phone screen was constantly lit up. Someone, probably from his work, must have needed to talk to him. Speaking of his work, he hadn't even been to the company for a few days. Wasn't he worried about getting fired? But Dario didn't allow her to think too much. Instead, he brought her joy once again. After about 2 hours, Dario realized that Jade really couldn't take it anymore, so he reluctantly stopped what he was doing. He then ran a bath for her and added essential oils to it so that she could soak and ease her discomfort. At that moment, Jade's face was like a peach blossom. Her eyes were tightly shut and her chest was slightly heaving. She was breathing heavily and comfortably in the bathtub. Then she opened her eyes angrily and stared out of the bathroom with her round almond eyes. Dario, hurry up and get out. I don't want to see you again. Dario squatted down and stared at her with his dark eyes. He leaned close to her ear and said ambiguously, When night comes, you will naturally want to see me. Be good and take a bath here. I will make breakfast for you. After he walked out, Jade immediately buried her entire body in the bathtub. Although he had seen every part of her body, she was still somewhat embarrassed to be naked in front of him. The first thing Dario did after he went out was to look at his phone. He frowned slightly after turning on his phone and looking at it. There were dozens of missed calls. When Jade was halfway through her bath, the door suddenly opened. Although she was already used to it, she was in the middle of bathing when Dario barged in. She couldn't help but shout at him, "Dario, what are you doing?" "I'm going out. Stay at home obediently, but if you do want to go out, you must tell me your whereabouts. Do you understand?" Dario looked at Jade, who was still taking a bath, with a serious face, and coldly gave her his orders. His serious look made Jade begin to doubt her life. How could this person not be shy and his heart not skip? He could watch Jade take a bath and still talk to her so calmly without being aroused. This thought completely confused Jade. Jade felt like she was about to go crazy. She hid in the bath and said somewhat impatiently, "I know. Hurry up and leave." She was still mumbling to herself. It would be better if she left, then no one could pester her anymore. She really couldn't take it anymore. She was with him, but how much physical strength did she need to stay together with him? "Wash it clean and wait for me." Dario stared at her shoulder as he spoke. His eyes were full of ambiguity. It was as if he were hinting at something. Episode 156. I Love You. Jade pretended not to hear him and continued to take a bath. Dario had let her rest for 2 days, but after she had rested well, Dario actually wanted her again that night, and he'd been with her for a full 2 hours that morning. Jade was about to doubt her life. How could it be that he didn't feel tired? Just as Jade was in a daze, 3 words from a very low and deep voice suddenly entered her ears. Her heart jumped. Although she couldn't believe what he said, she had clearly heard the 3 words. Before she could react, Dario had already walked in the door. Just as he was about to close the door, Jade called out to him. "Dario, what did you just say?" Jade asked. "I didn't hear you clearly," Dario said. "Say it again. I didn't hear it clearly." Jade was still filled with disbelief. Her body couldn't stop trembling. She felt an indescribable excitement. She had clearly heard him. He said, "I love you." Was that true? This was the first time she had heard him say, "I love you" to her. The 3 words remained in her heart and slowly melted into her body. She felt as though a century had passed. "I told you to wash it clean," Dario said calmly, pretending nothing had happened. No, Jade said with some excitement. "It's okay if you didn't hear me clearly." Dario just smiled and didn't seem to want to say anything else. Jade looked at him angrily and said, "Why are you so petty? Didn't I just ask you to say it again?" "Wasn't that what I said just now?" "What? I clearly heard you say, 'What did you say?'" As soon as he finished speaking, a cunning smile flashed across his eyes. Jade noticed something and stopped talking. She realized what his goal was, and that she had almost fallen into his trap. She immediately turned her head away. If he wanted to act dumb, then she would act dumb as well. Anyway, she'd clearly heard those 3 words. "It's nothing. Hurry up and leave. I'll remember those 3 words that you just said." Jade seemed to be proud. This was what he took the initiative to say. Dario said, "I'll come back as soon as I finish dealing with something." "I know." Dario stood in front of the bathroom door for a few seconds before he closed it and left. Jade had just finished bathing when she received a call from Caroline. Caroline said that she wanted Jade to come to the company. Because of her fame, Jade couldn't take the bus anymore. So she called a driver and had to go out fully armed. She put on the sunglasses that Dario gave her and kept a very low profile. The driver looked at her a few times and thought that she looked sort of familiar, but because they were about to arrive, the driver didn't ask. Jade hurriedly got out of the car and was about to go in when she noticed a black Rolls-Royce in front of her. A scene instantly flashed through her mind. That car seemed to be one of Dario's cars. She frowned slightly and her heart trembled. She quickly walked in the direction that the car was going. When Jade saw what was happening inside the car, she was completely stunned on the spot. Her heart was instantly seized with pain. What was going on? Why was there a woman in Dario's car? Moreover, she was sitting in the passenger seat, and the 2 of them seemed to be very close. Although they went by in a flash, Jade still recognized the person driving. How could it be like that? Why would a woman be sitting in his car? Didn't he promise that he wouldn't talk to other women? She suddenly felt a stabbing pain in her heart, but when she thought about it, the driver might not have been Dario. She thought it was his car, but Lucas also knew how to drive. Maybe the person driving was Lucas, and maybe the woman was his girlfriend. Even if it was really Dario, the woman next to him might have been his colleague or friend. Jade kept comforting herself, but she still felt uneasy in her heart. She couldn't catch up to the car now because it had already disappeared from her sight. She stood there in a daze and looked in the direction that the car went. She took out the phone Dario had given her with trembling hands. She bit her lower lip and was about to call him and ask where he was when Caroline called. "Where are you? Why aren't you here yet?" A sharp voice came from the other end of the phone. "I'm already downstairs. I'll be there soon." As soon as Jade hung up the phone, she hurriedly went up. She didn't even know how she got to Caroline's office. Along the way, she was in a daze. She couldn't help but think about what she had just seen. When Caroline saw Jade come in, she decisively handed her several new scripts. "Come in. I just picked up a few scripts for you. Take a look and tell me which one you like. After filming The Decadent Lady, you can start on the next one." Jade sat opposite Caroline in a trance. Jade didn't even look at her. She just kept thinking about the woman and the man in the car. Was it him or not? Jade muttered softly as she sat there in a daze. She didn't react at all and didn't say a word to Caroline. Caroline noticed Jade's absent-minded look and frowned. She reached out her hand and forcefully knocked on the table. A trace of displeasure showed on her face. The sound of Caroline knocking pulled Jade back. Caroline, what's wrong?" She suddenly raised her head and looked at her somewhat awkwardly. Caroline's face already showed anger. "I should ask you what's wrong. You look so absent-minded. So, what's wrong? I'll let you rest for a few days instead of immediately letting you go," Caroline said very sternly. No, Caroline, I was wrong. I'm listening." Jade looked at her somewhat apologetically. Caroline seemed to have seen through her thoughts. She said coldly, "I don't care what you do in your life, but don't bring your emotions to work. Do you understand?" "I understand, Caroline," Jade said in shame. She had lost her composure in front of her manager. Since she was an actress, and that was really a disgrace. Jade also knew that as an actress, no matter how much she had suffered or how much trouble she had encountered, she had to pretend that nothing had happened in front of others. She had to maintain her composure so that no one would be able to get a hold of her. Episode 157, 30 Years. "These are the scripts I just picked up for you. Take a look at them and tell me which character you like. Then we'll decide. Go back and have a good rest. I'll pick you up downstairs by 8 o'clock tomorrow. I also picked up an advertisement for you." Jade nodded. There were only 3 days left before it would be time for her to return to the film crew. Caroline took these 3 days as an opportunity to find a few advertisements for her. She hoped that Jade could quickly film them to increase her popularity before she went back. Caroline thought that doing so would have a greater impact on her popularity in the television series. Jade was nervous because her schedule had become busier. She looked at the scripts and found that the characters were varied. Jade was surprised that Caroline offered her the most important roles. Although some of them were secondary roles, if they were shot well, they would compete for the primary roles. It wasn't as if there were no dramas in the industry where female supporting roles became more popular than the female lead roles. As Jade held the scripts, her mood became somewhat heavy. In the past, her roles had always been assigned to her. She didn't expect to actually be able to choose her new role that day. She felt like she was in a dream. In the past, she hadn't been able to choose advertising roles, cover roles, or main character roles, but now all of them have become reality. Jade took a deep breath and put her best foot forward in front of Caroline. She said gratefully, "Caroline, then I'll go back first." "Yes, go." But when she walked out of the manager's office, she was still thinking about what she had seen in the car. She bit her lower lip and hesitatingly took out her phone. She recalled what Dario had said to her the day before. Didn't he say he also worked at Milliken? She might as well confirm it. She stared at her phone. Because she didn't want to be discovered, she quickly ran to the bathroom. After feeling anxious for a long time, she dialed the number. Jade hadn't thought of what she would say to him. She didn't expect Dario to quickly pick up the phone. "I only left a while ago, but you can't wait to talk to me?" A familiar and low voice sounded, making Jade's heart tremble. Jade felt a little depressed and lowered her head. She felt that something seemed a little strange. He didn't seem to be flustered at all. He even picked up his phone right away. If he was really having a private meeting with another woman, how could he be so calm and collected? Either she was thinking too much, or Dario was a very good actor. Just now, my manager called me to the company. Didn't you say that you came to the company as well? How about we—" She was just about to say, "Why don't we meet up?" But then she wondered if she should go look for him. Just then, Dario interrupted her. "I'm outside now. I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed." Jade's face turned ugly when she heard him say that. She couldn't help but think of the scene in the car. Was he still with the person he was with earlier? Jade didn't dare to ask and didn't want to ask. She was afraid that she'd be disappointed. I know, I want to go home and read the script. You should be busy. Jade was a little cold. However, her indifference didn't affect Dario's attitude toward her. Do you want to go back now? I'll take you. Don't bother, I can go back myself. Before Dario could answer, she hung up the phone. She looked at the black screen and found that her face was very haggard. There was a trace of disappointment in his eyes. Dario looked at his phone after Jade hung up. His eyes narrowed, and he had an indescribable expression on his face. He didn't know when it had started. She cared so much about whether he was with another woman or not, and about whether he had lied to her. Jade kept telling herself that he wasn't that kind of person. When he came back home, she would ask him properly. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. She told herself not to think too much, but she still walked out of the company with a heavy heart. Just as she walked out, a black Lamborghini stopped in front of her. Because Jade didn't know the car, she was about to take a detour. But then a handsome man charmingly opened the door and blocked her way. Jade was dumbfounded for a moment and was about to ask why he stopped her. The man revealed an exaggerated smile and excitedly called her sister-in-law. Jade's face twitched as she looked at him. What was going on? Why would a handsome man suddenly call her that? Who was he? Have you got the wrong person? How could I be your sister-in-law? Jade looked around and confirmed that she was alone. No, I've seen you many times on TV. You're the right person. I'm Dario's brother. Of course, you're my sister-in-law. By the way, we met at the airport. The man smiled. Jade carefully looked at the man in front of her when he brought up the airport and found that he wasn't lying. Jade looked at him gratefully and said, So it's you. I haven't properly thanked you for kissing that day. But why did you call me sister-in-law? Do you know Dario? You called him your brother just now. Are you really his brother? How come I never knew he had a brother? Let's talk about this later. There's something more important now. Oh, what is it? Before Jade could finish her sentence, Sam pulled her into the front passenger seat and quickly ran to the driver's seat. His actions were clean and direct. Before Jade could react, he had already driven away. Jade was still in a daze. She soon realized that she seemed to have been forcefully taken away by a man. Hey, where are you taking me? Jade looked at him in a panic. Although he saved her last time, he was still a stranger who she'd only seen once. Who knew what would happen if he just casually pulled her into his car and left? At least I helped you before. Now it's time for me to repay you. Oh yeah, my name is Sam. You can just call me by my name. Sam smiled devilishly. His voice was especially bright and magnetic. Jade muttered in her heart, Repay him? How could I repay him? Sam, I'm very grateful to you for what you did last time, but can you let me out of the car? I'll leave you a phone number. What do you want? Just contact me directly. Jade looked at him carefully and felt a little flustered. Looking at his appearance, she thought he must be quite rich. He wouldn't threaten her, would he? Sam, on the other hand, said very straightforwardly, No need, I know your phone number. Besides, Dario asked me to pick you up. As he spoke, he sped up. Do you know where I live? Of course I know where you live. Jade frowned. He called Dario his brother and knew where she lived. Was he lying? Jade was still worried. She was thinking about how to get him to let her go. When she felt better, Sam suddenly said something that made her vomit blood. By the way, you're really amazing. You actually broke Dario's 30-year record. When Sam said this, although he exaggerated, his expression was unusually serious. It didn't seem like he was joking at all. Episode 158, His First Time. Jade was shocked when she heard what Sam said. She didn't expect that Dario was 26 years old. That meant he was 3 years older than her. She didn't know what his age was because she had never asked, and she couldn't believe that the other night had been his first time. How was that possible? How could he be so familiar for the first time? This news was simply too explosive for her. What do you mean by what you said just now? Jade looked at Sam curiously. What do I mean? Don't you know? It's been 26 years. No woman has ever gotten close to Dario. Jade, you were Dario's first. If it wasn't for you, we'd all still think he's gay. It's all thanks to you. Much has been clarified. Oh, right. He asked me to take you home just now. Sam looked at Jade excitedly. Although he felt sorry for Evelyn, Sam wanted Dario to marry someone he liked instead of Evelyn. But I don't want to go home now. Jade always felt that she shouldn't let a stranger take her home. Moreover, she didn't want to go back now. Thinking about what she had just heard in the car, she really didn't feel like going home. Sam raised his eyebrows when he heard what Jade said and smiled. So you don't want to go home? Why don't you come with me? Where are you going? I'll bring you to see a friend, said Sam. A friend? Faye must be a good friend of yours, said Sam. Wait, you know Faye? Jade looked at him with some confusion. What a small world. How did he know Faye? We know more than just... For some reason, Sam had an evil smile on his face as he spoke, and there was a look in his eyes that Jade didn't understand, and that made her feel very uneasy. She looked at him warily and asked tentatively, Sam, you're not Faye's editor, are you? Could it be that you're going to rush the script? Sam almost fainted when he heard Jade's question. He twitched and looked at the woman beside him, speechlessly. Did he look like an editor? Was she joking? He was the boss of one of the world's top 10 companies, Willis Group. It seemed that Dario was right. Jade was cute, innocent, and a little bit silly. Before Jade could react, Sam started driving very fast. Although they were still on the road, he drove way too fast without any restraint. He overtook several cars and almost got into a car accident. The cars behind them kept honking. There was a big mess behind them. Sam, can you drive slower? What? The wind is too strong. I can't hear you. Sam turned around and let the wind blow his hair. Jade looked at the chaotic scene behind her with a lingering fear. Her heart almost jumped out of her chest. He was driving a sports car and the wind was very strong. Sam's driving skills were even better than Caroline's. In less than 5 minutes, they arrived at their destination. When they arrived at the district, Jade thought carefully. She didn't seem to have told him the address. How could this man know? What was his relationship with Faye? Faye had sent Jade the address before, and she also told her to visit her whenever she was free. Now, someone just happened to drop in and take her to Faye. Now, they didn't have to make another trip to meet each other, and she wouldn't have time to see her for the next few days due to her busy schedule. When Jade arrived at the apartment building, she saw that Sam was still following her. She turned her head and asked him curiously, Sam, do you want to come with me? Of course. I have something to talk to her about. Jade, you don't have to be so polite. Just call me Sam. Sam revealed an evil smile as he spoke. He took the initiative to press the elevator button for the 6th floor, and he accurately found Faye's residence. Jade followed behind him, feeling a little nervous. He was the one leading the way. When they reached room 607, Sam walked behind Jade and asked her to knock on the door. Although Jade felt that it was strange, she didn't ask questions. She felt that he wasn't a bad person, so she went forward and knocked on the door. After a long time, a lazy voice came from inside. It seemed that Faye had just woken up. Who is it? Faye asked cautiously. She didn't open the door until Jade opened her mouth and said, It's me. Faye then opened the door. Jade, why did you suddenly come over? Faye walked out looking up toward the sky. She was wearing pajamas and slippers and she looked haggard. Her hair was casually scattered all over her shoulders. She was about to open the door to welcome Jade in when she suddenly saw the handsome and lawless man behind her. The smile on his face immediately turned into fear. He even sat on the ground because of his fear. Faye wondered what he was doing here. Did he come with Jade? What was going on? Sam's sharp eyes stared intently at Faye, who had a plain face. At that moment, Faye looked a little slovenly. She was somewhat different from the woman he had imagined, but he was very sure that she was the woman he was looking for, because her gaze would not change. Faye, long time no see. Sam revealed a devil's smile as he stared at Faye. Faye heard his familiar yet unfamiliar voice, and her whole body couldn't stop trembling. She quickly got up and closed the door with a bang. Jade stared at the tightly shut door with a gloomy face, and then turned back to look at Sam. Jade thought that was strange. Why did Faye suddenly close the door? Was she going to lock herself inside? Faye, what's wrong with you? Nothing. I just need to calm down. Jade waited outside for a few minutes before Faye opened the door. Faye pulled Jade in as soon as she opened the door. She then cautiously looked at the man at the door and pretended to be calm. Jade, why did you bring a stranger here? A stranger? Don't you know him? Jade's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that she was deceived again? Why did Faye say that she didn't know him? Sam just said that it had been a long time since they last met. Was he lying? Sam revealed a wicked smile. He didn't care what they were talking about at all. He opened the door and walked in. He looked around at the dirty and messy apartment. He couldn't help but complain. This woman is so sloppy. This is really an eye-opener for me. Jade felt a little awkward when she saw the room. It was indeed messy. There were many takeout boxes on the table that hadn't been cleared up, and Faye's clothes were all piled up on the sofa. Episode 159, Faye's Romantic History. Faye knew that her profession was special, and the mess in her apartment was understandable because she was often in a rush. Faye coughed a few times and quickly removed the underwear, clothes, and pants from the sofa. She stuffed them to the side. Why did this man suddenly come over, and how did he find her? "Why did you come in? Hurry up and get out. I'll sue you for trespassing." Faye stood up like a cat that had been intruded on. She looked at Sam with a grimace. "You forgot about me so quickly? Don't you remember that night? And you took the initiative to find me." Sam's eyes carried a trace of evil. Then he leaned close to Faye's ear and said something very ambiguous. The atmosphere suddenly became a little different. Although Sam spoke very softly, Jade still heard him. Jade didn't understand. She swallowed her saliva and looked at the two people in front of her with surprise. Did the two of them really know each other? Did Faye really look for Sam? Why did Faye look for him? When Faye heard Sam's words, her entire body froze on the spot. Her expression was incomparably terrified. She thought, "Damn it! How did he recognize me? She was wearing a mask that night. How did he find out about her?" Sam stepped over the dirty things on the floor and grabbed the clothes on the sofa. He casually threw them on the floor and found a clean place. He sat down and crossed his legs like he did at home. Then he said very seriously, "Faye, did your editor not tell you? Has your boss changed? Am I your direct superior now? Aren't you afraid that you'll be fired if you treat your direct superior like this?" "What? Direct superior?" Faye's heart was hit once again. Faye looked at the man in front of her in surprise. It seemed to her that she'd been told about this before. Someone said that a man had bought their magazine, but Faye was just a small author, so she thought that it had nothing to do with her. It didn't seem to matter to her, but she didn't expect the boss of the company to show up at her house. Faye's mouth was wide open. "You are Sam?" Faye's face was full of despair. It was over. This time she had gone too far. She really regretted what she had done. "What? Watching your boss come over? Don't you know how to welcome him with a cup of coffee? Remember to add more sugar," Sam ordered coldly. People had to lower their heads when they were under the roof. Who knew what this guy wanted? Faye had no choice. She didn't want to lose her job, so she could only do as he said. She made coffee with sugar. She mumbled, "Add sugar? It'll be sweet to death." Jade stood there and frowned when she saw Sam acting cocky toward Faye. She ran to the kitchen to ask Faye what was going on. After all, she was the one who had brought him there, so she felt responsible. The moment she entered the kitchen, Faye looked at her with a bitter expression. "Jade, I'm glad that you came to see me, but why did you bring this guy along? You've brought on my death." "I'm sorry, but Faye, what is going on with you guys?" Faye looked at Jade in despair and carefully pulled her to the side. Seeing that Sam was still sitting in the living room, Faye was relieved and said to her, "Jade, I'll only say these things to you. You must not tell anyone." It was something ugly from Faye's past that no one knew about, but she knew Jade's character and felt she could tell her without worry. Jade nodded gloomily. Why was there such a big commotion? Faye told Jade about the world-shaking matter. The story was full of twists and turns, and it was simply 100 times more exciting than what Faye was writing. Jade just stood there on the spot with her mouth agape and didn't know what to say. Faye sighed sadly. Her eyes were full of tears and pain. It seemed that she had many stories to tell in detail. She wiped her tears immediately. "Sigh, it's like this. It all started a month ago. At that time I was in England and went to the bar to look for inspiration, and I made a few English friends. I didn't expect them to drug me. They made me run out of the bar and I couldn't do anything about it. I just found a man in the bar. Let's just settle in. I didn't expect that a man would actually take me to get a room. Fortunately, there was a masquerade ball in the bar at the time. I was wearing a mask. Logically speaking, he shouldn't know what I look like. How did he find me? Damn it. It's also my fault. I shouldn't have gone to that kind of place, Jade. What should I do? I really suffered a double loss this time. Without chastity, forget it. I was even entangled with this man." Jade took a long time to recover after listening to the story, but she finally understood what was going on. Faye had slept with that man before. It was an explosive situation. "Then, what do you mean? Sam is the man from the bar?" "Yes, I originally thought that it was all over after that night, but he actually came to find me and even bought the company that I work for. I think he just wants to get revenge on me." "But why does he want to take revenge on you? Isn't he responsible for you?" The more Jade heard, the more she felt that something was wrong. Although Faye was drugged at that time, the one who had suffered was still her. She was a woman, and for a woman, chastity was the most important thing. Faye's expression became a little awkward when she mentioned it. She lowered her head, as if she wanted to say something. Jade saw her reaction and knew that Faye hadn't told her everything. Faye, is there something you're hiding from me? Sam was a living and overbearing president who had come to find her. Faye was stuttering, and it was difficult for her to speak, but Sam was already impatiently shouting outside. Hey, have you made my coffee yet? Faye's hands trembled when she heard his voice. She blushed when she thought about what she had done with him in the bathroom of the bar that night. Speaking of which, Sam's figure and technique were both very good, so Faye actually wasn't at a disadvantage, even though it had been her first time. However, she couldn't do anything about it. She thought that instead of letting those foreigners off, she might as well find another American and just spend the night with him. Forget it. But she never thought that she would meet the man she met at the English bar that night after returning home. Episode 160. Why is the world so small? Faye had seen that horrible man at the airport that day. That was why she was in a hurry to leave. No matter how she tried, she didn't seem to be able to escape him. Although Jade was looking at her with concern, Faye couldn't make herself speak. Faye, Jade urged, it really seems like you need help. Look at how he treats you. You have to let me know what's going on. Jade thought for a moment. He knows Dario and seems to respect him. Maybe Dario can do something. He knows your husband? Faye's voice rose to a shriek of despair. How small is this fucking world? No wonder he found me. In the end, Faye finally told Jade the truth. After being drugged at the masquerade ball in England, she'd slept with this strange man. She'd hoped, that she could go home to America and forget about him. Certainly she would never see him again. Imagination was beautiful. Reality was cruel. Here he was, the same country, the same province, the same city, the same place. Jade kept her expression blank. So you two had casual sex, and now he shows up here? Faye chose not to respond, but deep within her heart, she exactly remembered what happened that night. It was neither casual, and after a certain extent, not even consensual. It was an assault. Jade was a little surprised at Faye's behavior, but her friend was miserable. She was here to comfort Faye, not criticize her. What a coincidence, right? As a writer, I have to say that my life story feels a little contrived. Faye gave a short, dry laugh. Jade wasn't sure how to respond. Sam's voice came from the living room. Hey, my coffee. Coffee, Faye muttered. Drink it to death. She glanced toward the living room with hate in her eyes. She jabbed a spoon into the cup as if stabbing the coffee through its heart. Then she leaned over, spat into the cup, and stirred briskly. There, you asshole. Just how you like it. Faye? Jade looked at her worriedly. Faye straightened up, put on a bright smile, and walked out of the room with an extra sway to her hips. Her soft voice sounded in the hall. Mr. Foster, sir, your coffee is here. Please, enjoy it slowly. Overhearing this performance, Jade felt that Faye was wasted as a writer. She belonged in front of the camera. Sam looked at the cup of coffee with satisfaction. Just as he was about to reach out his beautiful hand to drink it, he found Faye staring at him. He glanced at her, and a cruel smile appeared on his face. He put down the cup of coffee. His eyes were filled with danger. You didn't drug me, did you? Faye stiffened for an instant. Then she laughed gaily. Drug you? Of course not. She wished that she'd added rat poison to his coffee instead of saliva. Faye's mind replayed the whole sequence of that night when he'd ignored her resistance. The next day, her back had ached, and she'd had bruises all over her body. She'd worn long sleeves for the next week, during the hottest part of the summer. Sam's perfect face had gone perfectly blank. Forget it. I'm not in the mood for coffee after all. I'm a little hungry, though. So, let's see what you can do in the kitchen. What did you say? Faye felt a sudden urge to bite him. If you are hungry, go eat. Like I said, I have to work on the script. Now she understood why her editor had given her so much extra work and made her write so many drafts. It must be Sam doing this. Was he trying to tire her out, to make her quit her job, or do sloppy work and get fired? Or just to show his control? Jade could tell the flames of war were ready to ignite at any time. She said quickly, "Sam, Faye doesn't know how to cook, and she doesn't have time anyway. Why don't I go get something that's simple to make?" Sam laughed. "Dario would kill me if I made you cook. Faye, go get us some takeout." Rage emanated from Faye. "What did you say?" Jade stepped closer to her and whispered in her ear, calm down. You can't fight with your boss." Faye looked at Jade and said through gritted teeth, "Watch me." But she didn't do anything. This man had assaulted her. He had followed her from England to America. He had abused his position as her editor, and now he was sitting in her apartment ordering her to buy him takeout. She said with a grimace, "What would you like to eat?" Sam tipped his head back and thought, "I'm in the mood for a burger, but a really good one. Get the kind where they massage the beef, truffles, in there somewhere. And we'll do, let's see, king crab legs." He kept indifferently listing expensive dishes. Faye would have thought that they wouldn't even be available for takeout, but when she surreptitiously checked her phone, they were. What was his deal? Who would spend so much on a casual takeout dinner? This would cost a month of Faye's salary. Faye gave a careful, casual laugh. "Mr. Foster, I have to ask, who's paying for this?" She looked at him with a smile, but her heart was spewing fire. Sam raised his eyebrows. "What do you think?" He held her gaze. Sam was enjoying himself. He was so glad his brother had happened to help him find this woman. If Dario hadn't asked about what had happened at the airport that day, Sam wouldn't have realized he saw a familiar figure there.